Hello, friends. This is Kristen Fagan here with Softflex Company, coming to you for day 3 of Softflex Company's Customer Appreciation Week. We are going to be saying hello to the lovely and talented Tracy at TierraCast in just a moment. I'll give you all a second to get settled, say hello, let us know where you're coming in from. All right, I'm seeing quite a few of you join me. I'm going to go ahead and say hey to Tracy.
Hi, everyone. I am just watching the comments popping up and seeing so many people popping in already. So that's awesome.
Hi, Zach. Hi, Nancy and Kimberly, Susie and Brenda. Good to see you this morning. Anita from South Africa, Kimberly from Kansas, Maria from Myrtle Beach. We've got Texas with Brenda in the house, and Kentucky and Arizona. Hello, hello. It's so fun to see where everyone is tuning in.
It truly is. Yeah.
Hey, Jennifer.
And gosh, what time is it in Johannesburg?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm terrible with knowing the times other places. Let us know what time it is. Is it?
Yeah, interesting. She said good evening, so that implies that she's not up in the wee hours of the night. So, but
So
you never know.
I hear myself a little bit. I don't know if there's a volume that's on, but it might just be me.
Yeah, there's no echo on my end, and I don't have any other mic sources on my
cool.
phones.
So it could just be me then.
Doubling check. I'm doubling check. I'm double checking that. Yeah, I don't have any other microphones on, so it shouldn't be me. And it sounds okay where I am. And Jennifer says it's okay. Yay.
Echo on her end.
Doesn't sound like it.
All right.
Anita says it's 8 p.m. So that's a perfectly reasonable time to be watching a jewelry making demo.
Yeah, it is. Oh, thanks, Thomas. Thomas is reminding me that we have a giveaway going on. I appreciate that help because it's early in the morning for me. So you'll see there's a little ticker going around on the bottom. Just comment with hashtag SoftFlexWire to enter to win a prize. You must be here at the end of the video to win. And we are giving away a 10-foot spool of Softflex beading wire in our fan favorite purple amethyst color. So you can just comment while the video is going, and then at the end I will choose a winner. And like I said, you have to be here when I choose your name to actually win. And you only have to enter once, because once you put that comment in there, it'll count you once. It doesn't matter if you keep doing multiple times, it'll knock those out. So just have to put it in there one time and you will be included. What are we going to do today? That's the question.
Shall I switch my camera so people can see what we are actually going to do?
Sure. So we can talk while your camera's switched, and I'll make your camera nice and big for everybody.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're so happy to have you here, Tracy. Thank you so much for joining us.
It is lovely to be included in this event. Is this only the second year? Is it the third year?
This is our third year.
Because boy, it just seems to get better and better. Seems really wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we try and make it the first year you work out all the kinks, and then I feel like each year it does just get a little bit better and better. So I appreciate that. And Oh, somebody is saying it's International Chocolate Day. I was looking for chocolate right before I went live.
Was it a medicinal stress release kind of chocolate thing? Is that what you were doing?
Probably. And then I realized I finished it all last night.
Oh, dang. I don't know. I don't understand how that's possible. Why
How
do you
could
have
that happen?
Yeah, but
they were those little Trader Joe peanut butter cups, the dark chocolate ones, and they're dangerous for me. I really shouldn't get the big package. I should just get the little small package, but I do get the big package and then proceed
I don't think that's bad, Kristen. I think a little bit of chocolate every day is just fine.
I'm with you on that one. I'm with you.
Yeah. So someone up in the thread commented, that she was late. And I just wanted to let her know you haven't missed anything. We're just starting to show what I'm going to demo. Sarah and I talked before we knew what I was going to do. And we talked about different ideas. And she sent me just a whole slew of wonderful kind of they're fallish, but that's coincidental. What we were really going was we wanted a red tone to work with the components that are on this bracelet, which are our Sacred Heart button and our Sacred Heart charm.
Oh, they're so
that
pretty.
tends to I wish they would focus a little bit better, guys. I was griping to Kristen before we started that my camera just is not the best at focusing when I come in close. But
and I will say metals are always a little tricky because they reflect so much. So
it is tricky.
Kind of give your camera a little extra difficulty.
It does. I think the lighting definitely has the light bouncing off the metal definitely is a factor. But our Sacred Heart components, we launched those with our Keep the Faith collection that came out in January, or was it February? In winter of this year. And the Sacred Heart is an absolutely beloved symbol. I think historically it's Catholic, but it's certainly, it literally symbolizes the Sacred Heart of Jesus. I'm not sure if I can say literally and symbolic in the same sentence, but it symbolizes the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And it is just a beloved symbol, and it is very popular outside the bounds of Catholicism and even, other kind of Christian-based religions. It's just kind of spread beyond. Spread beyond that. So
it's a beautiful symbol. It's really lovely. And we did just add the charms to softflexcompany.com. So we didn't have those previously. We've had the button online for a little while, but now you can get the charm as well as the button. Those went up today. So very excited, as well as the little crimp ends that Tracy's going to be using.
Yeah, that's what I used. Now I played with a couple of different variations. And when I was cleaning, when you're designing a project, your work area, it becomes a disaster zone. Well, not a disaster zone, a creative zone. And you have all the different ideas and different iterations and different tries of, okay, what's going to work here and how am I going to do? And it becomes a big old mess. And so I had some different kind of iterations of this with different endings. I had a 3-to-1 little end bar that I tried. And when I was cleaning everything up, I took it all apart. And then later I was like, oh, darn, I should have left them together so I could have, showed kind of those other experimental efforts.
Right. And what worked. Interesting to see what worked and what you deemed maybe wasn't as successful.
Exactly. Thank you for putting that into the words I was trying to. So, but anyway, I took them all apart. And what I ended up using was these crimp ends because, and we'll get going here in a minute. The way this is put together is it's braided with 3 strands of soft-flex wire. And I did end up using the medium colored soft flex in the copper, which I absolutely love.
one of my favorites. Really,
Yeah,
really pretty.
I think for the one I do today, the demo, I'm going to use the red jasper because that was the other one that I was really interested in using.
I love
So
the
it's
red
three.
jasper too. It's almost got like a rich terracotta tone to it.
Yeah, it's really lovely. I like it too. And so it's a red, but it's not a bright red. But we wanted a little bit of a red to kind of play up the Sacred Heart theme. And then I'm using these check glass seed beads that are called Rolla. Is that right?
That's right.
Rolla
Yeah.
beads.
So
And
you
they're about this.
can
Yeah.
go ahead.
Kristen and I were discussing what the size of them. They're about the same as an E bead, maybe a slight bit bigger, but that's what Sarah sent me, and they worked perfectly. And I think I need to get going, or we'll be here all day.
All right.
So
I might pull out some roller beads as well because this project looks really pretty. I don't have any of the crimp ends yet sent to me, but I can always kind of save my project, I guess, and finish them off later.
Yeah. So what I used to get this project going was I cut 3 16-inch strands of soft flex wire, and my hands are off screen because I have a little measuring tape stuck to the front of my work desk here. And so I was just measuring my 16 inches.
That's smart. I'm always losing my tape and my ruler.
Uh-huh.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. And you could probably get away with slightly shorter lengths. You know, I tend to be kind of frugal with my jewelry making. And I'll try to use only as much wire as I think I'm going to need. And sometimes that backfires.
Oh yeah,
you know, you
I know
end up,
that.
oh yeah, sometimes it just backfires. So you might be able to get away with using shorter strands of this, but it seemed like 16 was a good length to work with. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm picking up some of the soft flex crimp beads, crimp tubes, and I'm just going to make a little loop at the end of each cord. And what's going to happen with these loops is they're going to get tucked right into these cord ends. All 3 of them, once I've got them crimped, I'm going to tuck those in there and crimp them down. So these don't even have to look pretty. We're going to use the magical crimping pliers, but I'm not going to worry about them looking very pretty because I'm going to tuck those inside that crimp end, and they'll be hidden. So I'm just going to crimp them enough.
However you want to crimp is just fine then in that case.
Right. My concern is just that it's secure. And I want my loop here to be quite small because when I tuck this all in there, I don't want that crimp bead hanging out the bottom. So my loop is very small. It's like less than 1/8 of an inch long. And it feels pretty secure, and I'm going to just trim off the little tail. It's only a very tiny little tail, just enough to get through the crimp bead. And now we don't need it, so off it goes. And I'm going to repeat that with the other 2 strands.
So for those of you just tuning in, we are meeting with Tracy of TierraCast today, and we have a pretty large range of TierraCast items over at softflexcompany.com, including the brand new Sacred Heart charm, brand new to us anyway, and the matching button that Tracy's going to be using today. And we just launched a brand new sale that started this morning. Is spend $99 or more and you'll get a free swag bag. So I've been teasing you all with the swag bag the last couple of videos, and we finally got them all put together today. And we decided to launch them with a promotion. So spend $100 or more this week and you will get a free beading pouch swag bag that has some goodies in there. It's got like a retail value worth of $55 and over, I should say. But the bag itself is about $20 retail. And the artwork is made by me. And
Oh, nice.
pretty excited about getting these into everybody's hands.
That sounds nice. Sounds like a nice bag. So I've got my all three of these strands crimped at the end. And at this point, I've trimmed off my little tails as best I can. This one's still a little bit longer than it should be. It might stick out and show beyond the edges of the crimped end. So, you know, you can be super fussy and try and get in there as tight as possible and trim that off, or you can be less fussy about it. But I'm going to line these up and just another option here. I'm going to crimp these using some parallel pliers. Those are my favorite for crimping because they come down evenly. I don't know if you guys carry any of those.
No,
Sarah.
I've never seen those before.
Sorry, Kristen.
Yeah,
but you can also use just chain nose or flat nose pliers too. You just want to make sure you kind of come around it from different directions to make sure it's really secure. And you could also use an adhesive, your favorite adhesive, just fill up with E6000 or whatever you prefer and tuck those in there. And then you'd have to kind of walk away for a day and let those dry. So if you're an instant gratification person, the crimping is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
So I'm using my parallel pliers, and I've got all of those little wires in there. Oops, they're just wanting to fall out one after the other. The one thing that I want to make sure of is that they're kind of evenly spaced out. So it's a little bit of a dexterity test. Get them all in there, kind of get them all spaced out a little bit. I'm going to crimp and then kind of spread them out a little bit before I really crimp down hard. Then I'm going to flip that whole thing over and crimp it again. These ends, I'm glad you guys brought these in. They're just, I love to use them. They're so fun.
They're really
they have
pretty.
a lot of potential. They hold a lot of materials. The opening of this one is a 6x2 millimeter. So initially when we created these, we were thinking all about leather cord, and they fit 3 strands of 2 millimeter leather cord. But you can use them with a lot of other stuff. So I don't know how well you can see that.
Yeah, this was interesting. I didn't know what you were making today, Tracy. And when I saw that we brought those in this morning, I was kind of curious because I thought, those look like leather cord ends.
Exactly.
I wonder why we have those.
we don't do a leather cord at Softflex, but there you go. You can use them with other things. So
yeah, that's great.
You can see that the little crimps right there are showing right at the bottom, and I got them spread out very nicely. I'm kind of proud of myself, actually. And I'm giving them a little bit of a pull, and they feel perfectly secure. So if you were nervous about that, you could always just drop a little glue down in there too. And the next step, I'm using a clipboard. If you have some kind of macrame or other kind of board you like to do this kind of work on, use what works for you. I have a clipboard to which I have attached, I take these beading mats and I will stick them down onto a cardboard surface so that I can move them around easily like this. And because I don't want the clipboard making so much noise, I'm actually attaching one of those mats to the clipboard. That way it's not like making a bunch of noise while we're working.
Oh, that's smart too. So many good tips from you already, Tracy. Tape down, attach my tape measure, use a clipboard with a bead mat.
Yeah.
I do want to answer a couple of questions here before you get started. There's a few people saying that they just placed an order with us this morning or maybe on Monday. If you placed an order with us this week and you want the swag bag and you place an order over $100, just email us at info@softflexcompany.com and we'll take care of you. So as long as everything, they'll take a look at your order and get you fixed up. Somebody else is asking, can we just buy the swag bag? Not at this time, you cannot. As of right now, we're just launching it as a free gift with purchase. And they may go for sale after this week is over. Okay, back to you, Tracy.
All right, so what I'm doing next is I'm just starting to string on I'm alternating the color of these roller beads. And I'm stringing on, when I was doing my little testing, I had decided that about 9, let's see, what did I decide? 21 beads on each strand are going to create about a 7.5-inch bracelet. You got to keep your braid kind of nice and snug. So I'm just beading on 21 beads, 10, and I'm alternating the colors. And I'm starting with the black on the 2 outer strands, and I'll start with the gold on the inner strands so that they're alternated. And you'll see how that kind of comes into play as we're braiding. It took me, it was a little bit of a challenge to figure out how to braid, how to string my beads and do my braids so that it turned out the way I wanted. But 10, 15.
I was just talking about that earlier this week about how when we, put together, us as companies put together kits or these demonstrations, we really have to work a bunch of stuff out for you.
Yes, ma'am. 5, 10, 15, 20, 21. Yeah, that's an understatement. So I've got all those beads strung onto my first strand, and then I'm attaching a little bead stopper to the wire so that my beads don't fall off. And then I'm going to, like I said, with my second strand, my middle strand, I'm going to start with the gold instead of black, so it's alternating. But I'm going to use the same number, 21. And you'll adjust that. You want a shorter bracelet or a longer bracelet. You'll adjust accordingly.
Yolanda is asking, how long will it take for beginners to make this bracelet?
I would give yourself, for a beginner, I would give yourself a solid hour. I think it's not a slow bracelet, but you're also, gosh, why rush yourself? I think that's 21. 15.
The counting always gets me. That would be the hardest part.
And then again, I attached a little, maybe I'm going to zoom out a tiny bit so you guys can see a little bit more of my work surface as I'm doing this. Last one. Kristen, some days counting is harder than others.
I seem to always miscount, especially on video, for sure. It's like somebody's always like, oh, you missed one. Thankfully, out there help me out. So I don't get too far finishing it and crimping it before I can fix it.
Discover the error. Let's see. 5, 10, 15.
When I first saw your bracelet, Tracy, I thought you were using our heavy diameter because it did have like a more substantial look, but maybe it's just because of the three ones being braided, it kind of beefs it up a little.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if, well, I'm sure I've used the heavy at some point, but definitely the medium is the go-to.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have, and along the lines of, trying to catch your errors before you get too far in the project. I'm just double checking to make sure I don't, that I actually have alternated colors and didn't accidentally double up anywhere. And it looks okay. So
Vic is asking, does the count have to be an odd number? Or Kathy,
no,
I should say. No.
absolutely not. You can, you're going to add kind of as needed. With this, I did find while I was working with this that it needed to be a fairly tight braid so that all these beads would kind of stay in place. So 1, 2, 9, 10, 11, 12 beads. I don't know how helpful this is. You'll just, you'll figure it out as you're going, but 12 beads is about 3 inches if you put 12 beads per strand. So you might be able to use that as a gauge to help you decide how many beads you'd want to string. All right, so what I've done here is I've added, I've slid 3 of my beads up here to the top. And I'm going to start braiding. And you guys are going to have to bear with me for this part. I started this process. I started this bracelet. I made it several weeks ago, at least a couple of weeks ago. And as I was working out this braid, it was like I figured out that there's a little trick. It's almost like I have to do 2 beads per strand at once. Now, of course, I didn't write that down. So it's going to take me a minute to remember exactly how I did this.
What your little trick was.
Yeah, it's very much what my goal is I want, and you'll find in your finished bracelet that sometimes the beads up here at the top kind of get out of order a little bit. So you can be fussy about that or just leave it alone. But if you're fussy about it, you just kind of have to get them back in their places, because what we're going for is for all the gold ones to show up down the center and all the black ones to show up on the outer edge. So there's a little bit of arranging as you go that will come back to me, I should say, as we figure this out.
And like most of these kinds of projects with braiding or knitting or things, it's always the beginning that's a little finicky.
Yep.
And then once you get that rhythm going and you kind of get the beginning tightened up, then it seems to kind of flow a little more easily.
Yeah, and also just getting those beads where they need to be. And you're right, the first part of it is the trickiest. And I'm already, once we've got it going properly, then it'll be much easier. But I'm already getting myself confused. So let's take them down. So cross, and I want that bead to be the gold bead to be in the center. And now it's this turn, and I want the gold bead to be in the center. And I want a black bead to come up on the outside edge there. And I'm going to cross, and again, I want that gold bead to slide up into the center. A black bead on the outer edge. And it's best if you keep, I put these little, slide this back up. I put these little bead stoppers down here. It's best if this whole beaded strand of the string is not too long, because you need to kind of they get kind of wrapped across each other, and you need to be able to kind of uncross them as you're braiding. So it's best if you kind of keep everything up compact instead of putting your bead stopper way down here at the end. Then it makes it harder to keep all that stuff untangled.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. So you can see as I'm going, I'm arranging the beads as I go so that there's a gold one ends up in the center as I cross them over, and then I slide a black one up to the outside edge. So it's almost like you're sliding two beads up with each crossing of the wires. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
And you can see what's happening here. The gold ones are staying down the center. The black ones are kind of coming on the outside.
I'm still stringing, so you're way ahead of me.
And this right now, everything's loose, but at some point I'm going to need to, oops. Aha. All right, here's a little, what can sometimes happen if you lose track of where you are. I just crossed this one over with the gold bead to the middle, but my next bead on this strand is gold, which tells me that it didn't get put in its place. So I'm tucking it underneath and sliding it up. And then there's a black one on the outside edge like they're supposed to be.
Jane is saying she's so sad to hear about TierraCast. They are the only toggle clasp that she uses, and her customers love them.
Oh, thank you for saying that. We're pretty sad about the whole thing, but there are just so many factors involved, and you know, it's the decision that the owners need to make at this time. We do. Yeah. There's been, you know, a lot of the reaction was, gosh, couldn't somebody buy the company? Aren't you guys? Couldn't you sell it? Couldn't, you know, there's been a lot of that. And I would say that we've had some inquiries, and that we're kind of, the ownership and the board of directors is kind of looking at some of those inquiries to see if there's a possibility of at least the brand continuing under somebody else's ownership. It is way too soon to know what's going to happen. And but there's a slim possibility that something could change. Now, we would not continue if somebody takes over manufacturing, it would not be here. It would have to move, because we're not going to continue doing anything on this site. So we'll see, you know, maybe there'll be a miracle. But
yeah, Tracy was saying in the beginning before we came on here that you know, just the outpouring of love and, you know, from everybody, couldn't believe how many people were just so sad to see TierraCast possibly not be in this beading space anymore. I mean, we all just love you guys so much and your products, and you know, you're definitely sad to see you go. And if somebody does end up stepping in, you know, like Tracy said, there'll definitely be a gap, I guess, in production, right?
For sure. And who the heck knows if who the heck knows what might happen. But I would expect that there will definitely be a transition period.
Yeah.
And just no promises. We just don't know. There's certainly been inquiries, and so the board of directors is looking at all those. If they feel like they're legitimate inquiries, they're certainly considering them and talking. But it's way too soon to say. So, you know, as I was saying, we're shutting down production at the shop. So we're packing up, and we're, you know, getting ready to just close it down. It's very sad.
It is. So it's going to be harder and harder to find your favorite TierraCast items. So be sure to.
Well, the good news is people are really stocking up.
They are.
So you might be able to find everything you normally use for a good long while. So what I've been doing while we've been talking about that sad subject is moving all of my beads up. I'm just kind of sliding everything up, making sure that I haven't missed any, put a bead in a wrong place, I should say. So I'm just kind of tightening everything up, and I'll continue doing that right up until we're done. So you can see how it's coming together. I'm just braiding it so that the gold ones stay in the center and the black ones stay on the outside.
I love it. I finally just finished stringing all my beads, and now I'm like, oh, I have to figure out how to get started. But the great thing is this video will be available on replay. So
Yes, exactly. You can just slow it down and watch it over and over again as much as you need to.
So you can find this video after Tracy and I are no longer live. You can find it still on the Softflex Company Facebook page, and you can find it on the Softflex Company YouTube channel. We even have a playlist we put together with all of the Customer Appreciation Week videos for the for 2023, so you can catch the replay of everybody very easily there.
I guess a good way to sort of keep track of where you're at is that every time you slide a gold up, you know that it needs to go, that strand needs to cross over to the center. And I'm getting to where my my stoppers are getting too close, so I'm going to move everything down a little bit so that these beads are out of my way. And another way to deal with that is I'm going to start sliding all these ones up.
Damien, if you can share TierraCast's page that we have on our website with all of our TierraCast items in one place, that would be awesome.
Yay.
Thank you.
Another thing I'm watching as I'm going is I'm positioning the little black ones in between the adjacent gold ones. So like for example here, I've got my black one on the outer strand, but it's not in between. So I'm just popping it up in between the two gold ones. You know, Kristen and I had talked about whether or not I should try and write these instructions. And I don't know, I just feel like that would have been a challenge.
Because there's a lot of weird little like move this,
yeah.
shimmy that, right?
Yeah.
It's a little easier
here.
just to see it.
Right. It would have been definitely a writing challenge.
My first job that I worked at a bead store here in Tempe, Arizona, I would do their illustrations for their instructions. So that was like, so in a way, I kind of learned beading in that doing those illustrations because I didn't bead. I just would work off somebody else's drawing and what they wrote, and I would just have to
oh my gosh,
put it together.
Wow. As someone who has to occasionally do, you know, graphics for seed bead patterns. And that's not my forte, but I've had to learn how to do that, of course. And it's all, let me just bow down to you, Kristen, because that stuff is not easy.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it definitely wasn't easy. One of the nice things though is the bead. Once I created a bead shape, I was able to go and grab that bead shape every time I needed it.
Yeah, and change the color as you need it and all of that. But to be doing that and not have the beading experience to help you, that just seems kind of phenomenal that you were able to do that.
Well, I would have to have somebody look over it when I was done and
for
make
sure
that I got everything correct.
Yeah. Does this make sense? No, that does not make sense.
Debbie's saying I'm getting an error when ordering the crimp end. If you want to send us an email at info@softflexcompany.com, somebody in the office can hopefully help you out with completing your order. I'm not sure what kind of error you're getting.
I'm getting to where this is getting to be almost long enough. I just have to keep tucking everything up, sliding them up so that they're nice and snug next to each other. But it's getting to be, the beaded space is it's 6 inches. And that's really kind of all I want, because the crimp ends and the button and the and the little loop we're going to make as a button loop, that's about 1.5 inches of stuff.
Right.
So if I stop here with my beaded strand at about 6 inches, that's going to give me a 7.5 inch bracelet. So that's probably plenty.
It is so satisfying to watch you scoot all those beads up, and that
A little bit.
just sort of get like tighter and tighter as you move them.
Yeah. It's satisfying on this end too, I gotta say. And I do want one more black one up in there. Whoops.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Mary is asking, do you think the jewelry designs on your website will be available after you close?
I hope that we are able to work something out about that. I'm hoping so, because that's good content. There's just so much good content. So that's something we're talking about. Okay, how do we just leave our YouTube channel? Do we keep it live? Do we how do we do that? So we're working on that. I would very much like to see all of that stuff stay available to people. In the meantime, all of the projects, or the vast majority of them, have downloadable PDFs for every project. So if I were you, I would go do some downloading.
That's a really good tip. Yeah, there's some designs on there that are just your faves, or things that you've been really wanting to try. Go download them and save them, and this way you've got them no matter what happens.
Yeah, and you can just download them and save them to your device or your computer, or you can print them, It's a lot of good stuff. All right, I think I'm happy with how tight they are. I think I'm happy with the length. Here's where it gets scary, and you need a third hand. Nobody in the beading world, well, I was going to say nobody in the beading world has figured out how to have a third hand yet. But there's some interesting tools that that hold beads and stuff, and so all of my little beads are up here. I kind of don't want them to move, so I think what I'm going to do.
Yes, Lois is asking, are the mushrooms from this month's kit made at TierraCast? They were, and they were
mushrooms. Did you guys order some of those old mushroom charms?
Yes, they're so cute.
Oh my god. Okay, one of the wonderful things about Softflex, I love this about you guys, is that you guys occasionally go into the archives and do a special order of a part that we haven't made for years.
Yeah.
So that is so, I had no idea you guys ordered that. That's so great.
So it was in our Customer Appreciation Week kit, and then we also just loaded them onto the website this morning. So all the extras that we had, you can buy online as of today too. And they are adorable mushroom.
Those are way back parts, I'm telling you. So what I've done here, guys, is I got all my beads kind of snugged into place, and I just took a piece of tape and I'm sticking them down to my mat because I don't want everything moving. And then I added, it's trying to get away. I strung a crimp bead onto each strand, and I'm just going to repeat that process that we did up at the other end. I'm going to make a little loop and just crimp those down.
Becky is loving the way that this looks braided. I agree. And Eileen, this is not a kit. No, but Tracy is using all the parts and pieces that can be found at softflexcompany.com. So she's using copper colored Softflex beading wire in the medium.
Actually, I'm using, in the original one, I used the copper. In this one, I'm using the red jasper.
So the copper is the design that's finished, and she's using the red jasper right now, which is kind of nice because you can see that a little bit better on screen too.
Yeah, the copper is beautiful, but it very much blends in with that gold bead. So I'm really liking the red jasper.
And then she's got the 2x2 millimeter crimp tubes that she's putting on right now, and then the new TierraCast crimp ends that we just loaded will go at the very end. And then the Sacred Heart button and Sacred Heart charm. as well as the beads, which are called rolla beads, and you can buy them separately, like individual colors, or you can get them as a bundle at softflexcompany.com and save a little bit extra when you buy the whole bundle of colors.
Did you like that little Vanna move?
It was a good Vanna move. I think I got everything.
Yeah. Well, and then the button and the Sacred Heart charm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So again, so I've got my little crimps on here. My challenge now is I want them to be the same size and at the same position. I want these little crimp beads to kind of all be in the exact same spot so that they'll line up in that crimp end very nicely. And again, I want these little loops to be not very big so they'll tuck into the crimp end.
Oh, that's a good little tip there. She's using a pair of tweezers.
Tweezers to hold on so I can adjust the position of everything. Try and get everything lined up just right. And these, it's less important for the loops to be the same size. They don't really have to be, as to just make sure they're small enough to tuck inside that crimp end and that they're kind of even. The crimp beads are kind of even. There we go. That's feeling pretty good. And then I'm going to go in and just crimp them all. And once I've at least got them, that initial little crimp. Oh yeah, something to remember. Scotch tape will just pull these little mats apart. Forgot about that.
Oh, some of you might know that. I've heard from some of my friends on here in the past that their mats are like all pulled, torn up, and ripped and torn up. And maybe that's one of the reasons why, because we were like, what? How is that happening?
Yeah.
Now that you just said that, I said, oh, maybe that's how it's happening.
Yeah. Tape will tie. And you need to use tape, you know, sometimes when you need to anchor a design down or something. You just need the tape. But, you know, there's you don't have to use these little mats. You can get any kind of fabric you want and tape it, glue it down to Tracy's beading hacks. I have like thick poster board, and I bought, this is just like a felt that I cut and glued down to the poster board. They just make nice little cushioned mats. I don't recommend the felt though, because it has but you can find any other fabric. But the felt has that kind of, it has fuzziness. So the felt's not the best, but the point is you can use something besides these foam mats.
Lynn is asking, would washi tape work?
I don't know.
From my experience, washi tape is a little bit flimsy, and so I don't know
if it hold as well.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll hold your design where it needs to be as well. It might, yeah. It's good on paper when you're using it for like paper to paper and stuff, but it's not super adhesive.
Maybe like the blue painter's tape would be better, and would be a little more gentle on the mat. You can see that my braid's coming undone, but I'm not horribly concerned. I'll fix it all up before we crimp it. And you can also see that I had quite a bit of extra cord. You can try, if you're conservative about your cord, you can try maybe using a little bit less, but just don't make it hard on yourself. And also these 3 strands are definitely long enough to save and use in something else.
For sure. That's what I was going to say. Those are definitely long enough to add for other projects. And
yeah, they could be. I'm, you know, my brain is already seeing like a 3-loop pair of earrings, you know. Matching earrings. I see that in my head.
Are concurring that painter's tape would probably work well.
Yeah, gotta love that stuff. All right, so now what I'm doing is I'm kind of getting everything back in place because as I was working on those crimps, everything kind of came loose, but that's okay. I'm just tucking everything back. And let's see, wait.
Gail says she loves this design, Tracy. She's going to watch the replay of the tutorial.
Okay.
She has
Okay.
all of the pieces and parts to make it. Thank you so
Yay.
much.
My beads are getting a little out of order. I just have to make sure everything's where it needs to be. And it seems to me that when I got to the end of this original one, that I had a little hack. I had to come up with a little hack to hold everything in place and get it tucked into that, tucked into the cord end. So I'm hoping that little hack comes back to me here very soon. What did I do?
I'm like you. I'm terrible at writing little, like, I always think to myself, oh, I'll remember that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then I'm like, why didn't I write down how long that strand was? Or why didn't I write down? I just think to myself, oh, yeah, I'll remember that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Guilty. Guilty, guilty. All right, everything's there. So let me think here. I'm grabbing, what I'm doing here is grabbing a head pin, sliding through my loops so I can hold the loops together and kind of get everything back where it needs to be. Boy, it really did get kind of all just out of whack. Come on.
That seems like a good little tip, using the head pin. Because you could even, if you were someone that was interested in gluing it, you might be able to even leave that head pin there, trim it, and put it.
Yeah, that's a thought.
Possibility.
Right.
Try and see if it would work, but maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I'm also concerned that I made those crimps. I left them a little bit too long. I think they'll be okay though. All right, everything's back in place. Yay. So, how did I do this? When I was putting on that last crimp end, I mean,
right,
I could
Kathy
just
says,
count.
or you will write it down and look at it later and wonder, what does that mean?
Yeah. What did I mean there? Surely it made sense at the time.
Oh, I love seeing that a few of you are going and grabbing those mushrooms. They are too cute to pass up. I love the shape of them. They're just adorable. And like all
Oh, I
TierraCast
see what's
items,
going on.
they're beautifully made and have a nice weight to them.
I see one of the things I'm struggling here with is that my braid got out of whack. One of the strands was not where it was, an over and should have been an under. So I'm rearranging.
There you go. It's nice to, give yourself a little time to look over your design at the end and just make sure it's doing what you expected it to do.
Yeah. It's not fouled up anywhere. There. Oh, no, still under instead of over.
Kimberly's wishing there was a mushroom button, but she said this thistle button is close. I love that thistle button.
Yeah, that thistle button. That's a favorite.
I'm such a fan of thistles. I paint that. Actually, I have thistles on the swag bag are painted on that particular piece of art. I painted thistles. I think they're so fun to paint.
All right, so everything is back in its place. And I think what I'm going to do, you guys are going to wish me luck here, is I'm just going to try and pinch these. So slide out the
Oh, Jennifer Miller is saying that one of the black rollers on the top might need to be scooched down.
we can do that. And you will find that up here next to the crimp end, they will flip flop around a little bit. So occasionally you might have to rearrange the beads up at that part. But
Yeah, they
right.
look good right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what I did here was I just slid out my one of my crimp beads is kind of fatter than the others. I'm having trouble getting it in there. I slid the head pin out, and I'm just tucking, and I slid the crimp bead on while holding them all in place magically. And now I'm just tucking them up in there, making sure they're in there.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. Michelle is saying maybe a thin gauge of wire could bundle
and wrap it
ends, and then it would fit.
That. Yeah,
that could be a
but
possibility.
They're all in there now. Whoops, no, they're not. Yeah, make sure they're in there before what I'm running into here now. Oh, dang. Did you see that?
I did. Oh, man. We feel your pain with that one.
We were so close. What was I saying though? Is these crimp beads, if they're not nice and tidy, they'll kind of, you have to force them to get up in there into the what do you call it?
The crimp end.
Yeah. So get my braid back in everything back in its places.
I do wonder too, we also at Softflex Company have a large 3x3 millimeter crimp, and it might be possible to crimp with that and then crimp over it.
Oh, I see what you're saying, except then what you don't get,
they're not as flattened out.
Is you won't have that space in between, which we were talking about at the beginning.
So it may affect your braid a little bit.
Everything will kind of, I'm not going to worry about the beads right now. I am 95% certain that the cords are in the right order. Don't come out again. This is the tricky part. And I said that disclaimer right at the beginning. You need magic and an extra pair of hands for the end.
I completely, yes. And it looks so good once it gets done. But yeah, I can see it. It gets a little tricky. Get them all in there. You're trying to wrinkle.
Get them lined up and then squish it fast before they fall out. I'm going to start just crimping down to at least hold them before. I want to make sure I got enough room in between the different strands. Does that make sense? There we go.
Yeah, I do that sometimes when I crimp too. I like give it a very light
just to hold it.
Just to give it a little, edge, and then still allow me to wiggle things around.
And that's exactly what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to get in between here and just pull that one out a little bit to give them a little bit of space in between. Tuck them all up in there again. I did not promise that this was easy. This is the fussy part of it. But I got them all in there, and I'm
gravity might be working against you too, because the beads are pulling.
There's weight
pulling away.
There's weight on the beads. Tuck them all up and squish it good. All right. So they're there. They're in there now. So now I just have to kind of rearrange the beads and the braids and make sure they're all back in their places.
I love this design. I think it's so cute. But so far, I only just strung up my beads because I'm going to have to watch Tracy's beginning again.
And I think it's very possible I lost a wrap or two of my braid at the end there. Because things are looking like there's too many on each strand. Oh, that's a disappointment. But don't do that. So what's happened here is
Unless you like the look of that, and then then
it's all good.
Then it's all good.
It's
There
all
could
magic.
be a little something to that too, you know.
Get everything. Still possible that everything's okay, and it just needs to be put back in their places. Oh yeah, okay, we're okay. That was
Look at that, you did it.
Panic over nothing. It's like, no, it doesn't look right. Oh wait, it's fine.
Michelle says she was trying not to hold her breath. But yay, you did it.
Yeah. So when you've got everything connected, and then you can kind of adjust the tension where all the cords. You've still got one that's not staying in its spot, but it's all right. There we go.
That's true. Debbie says, you know, maybe a little touch of glue if you've got a little problem bead somewhere.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely considered that more than once with this design. So I'm sort of adjusting the tension. You know, everything was nice and tight up here, and it got all loose down here. So I'm just kind of sliding everything back. And for the most part, they're in their place. All right. I tucked all of that wire in this bag, and I forgot that I do need about a 2 to 3 inch strand. Again, you can probably do it with 2 inches, but don't sabotage yourself by giving yourself too little wire to work with. And what I'm going to do here is make a button loop at one end of the bracelet. So I'm just threading one end of the short piece of wire through the loop at the end of the crimp end. And crimp that down. I have to say I've gotten much better with the magic crimping pliers, Kirsten.
Yeah.
I used to not be able to, my little crimps did not look like nice beads at all.
I remember you saying that way back when. So I'm glad that you've turned a corner.
I've turned a corner. And then I threaded a second crimp bead on the other end, and I'm just doing the same thing, threading that end through that same loop at the end of the crimp end.
I don't know if you feel this way, but I always tell people that you really can kind of feel when it's sitting in the right place once you get comfortable with it.
Definitely. So what I'm doing now is I just want to make sure that this loop is a decent size for the button. And this is not a big button. It's kind of narrow, so I don't want my button loop to be too big. So I'm adjusting my cord till I get my button loop a good size.
Kimberly's still learning with that crimp tool. Yeah, it can have a little bit of a learning curve for sure.
Yeah. That's probably a big enough loop. It might be a little bit surprising. It's not very big, but that button will fit through there just fine, I think. Yeah. So the loop is like a 1/2 inch long, maybe. And then I do want to pay attention to lining these two little crimps up kind of nicely. I want these two loops to be about the same size.
Julie says, Tracy, you are such a delight. What a great project. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. No.
A few people mentioned yesterday that they find the copper crimps to be the easiest to use with the magical crimping pliers. They are manufactured slightly thicker, so I feel like that maybe it helps kind of cinch down on the security. So if you don't have any copper crimps, Kimberly, maybe give those a try and practice with those first, and then move on to the other metals.
All right, so I got my little button loop made, and
Oh my
I'm going to
gosh,
attach.
it's so cute.
I'm going to attach the. I'm using some kind of medium-sized oval jump rings, and I'm just attaching the button at the other end with the jump ring.
Kim, yes. Kim says this is definitely a rewatch. Love it.
And that charm, you could actually, I was going to say you could put that anywhere you want along the bracelet, but it really, I think I'm wrong. Don't do that. I think it really needs to be, in the original one, I just attached it down here next to the button loop. And I think that kind of needs to be where it is. There's not enough room to attach it near the button.
Right.
That loop is, I don't think, really suitable to try and fit 2 jump rings in there. And I don't think I'd want to hang it along the braid because I think it would, the weight would mess with the way the braid lays.
Yeah,
So,
it'll tuck in that spot a little bit. No, I think
yeah.
you've got a good spot for it. I always struggle with where to put the little charm on the end. I feel like I don't always know the best spot for it.
Yeah. And then
good job.
There we go. And that's right, trying to get that so it's laying right. And the button's right side up, and the charm's right side up. There we go.
Beautiful. Will you hold up the 2 different wires to just see the slight variation that they
in the
make
color
between the first project and your project you just did?
The first one I used the copper color.
Mm-hmm.
And the second, the one I demoed today, I used the red jasper. And
they're very close when you look at them just on their
well, they're really one.
But then they're not when you're in the design, I bet.
Yeah. Trying to get a couple of strands here so we can actually hold them next to each other. But again, the lighting in the videos and the focus is not always show you what you need to see. So you can just see that
copper has a little more of a sheen to it, whereas your red jasper is like a flatter color.
Yeah.
So I think that that kind of, that's a good, there you go. I could see that really well right now.
Yeah, there we go. So that the red jasper is just a very nice, warm, earthy red.
So pretty. So pretty. Thank you so much, Tracy. It's gorgeous.
Yay.
So before we wrap up, I just want to remind everyone watching to go ahead and enter the giveaway. I'm going to pull a name right before we end. Use the hashtag SoftFlexWire to be entered. Let me see how many entries we have. We're trying to beat, we have 118, and Sarah and Kay at 121 yesterday. So let's beat them. Let's beat them. We just need a few more of you to enter.
Yeah, so in case that people have popped in and missed all that at the beginning.
Yeah, Sarah started a friendly competition because she was telling me yesterday on my last video, she was going, Kay and I had 121 entries.
Yeah, come on, folks.
Come on, we're up to 120. I think we can beat them.
My question is, who's doing the counting?
The program does the counting, which is so lovely.
Oh, no kidding. How nice.
Yeah, there's a little tool in the program that is counting, that counts everybody up, and then I will use that to choose the winner too, which is fantastic because
are we there? I'm seeing some more people.
Let's see. Here, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we can see. Oh, we've got 126, 127. Let's get that number up a little higher, just so that, she can't catch up to me and Tracy.
Oh, my goodness. It says 127. Yeah, 128. All right.
It turned out so beautiful, Tracy. It really did. It's such a lovely design. I'm excited. I was very excited to see how you use those crimp ends with the SoftFlex beading wire.
And it's one of those designs that feels nice on,
Yeah, Oh, 129. Let's get over
Yeah.
130. Let's get over 130. Oh, Kimberly said, does that mean there'll be 2 drawings?
Well, Lois is making a
Sarah
yes,
gave
this,
away 2 prizes. Oh, she didn't tell me that part. Oh, Thomas is telling me that too, that Sarah picked 2 winners.
that's awesome.
She was sneaky. She didn't tell me she did that. All right, we'll pick 2 winners. That sounds like a great idea. We love to give
it.
stuff away. So why not
Yay.
pick 2? All right, let's see who our first winner is. We've got 134 entries. Woo woo. That's so exciting. And you have to be here to win. So let me know that you're here. If your name is called Brenda, hooray, hooray. Aunt Pat says she'd like to be a winner. Aunt Pat is here. Brenda, you've got to still be here, right? I hope so. Nancy says, lovely bracelet. I just got my first soft flex. And
Brenda says she's here. Yay.
Oh, yay. Congrats, Brenda. So go ahead and send us an email at info@softflexcompany.com. Let us know your shipping information and we will get your spool of Softflex wire to you. And I'm going to go ahead and choose to draw again. All right, winner number 2.
Oh, that's kind of fun. The way that program works.
Isn't that
Lynn?
so fun?
Yay, Lynn.
Hooray, Lynn. I know it gives you confetti. It goes through everybody's name. It's really quite fun. And I think it's added to us wanting to give away more just because we like to use this.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like a little game.
It's a little game for all of us.
And we had 134 entries, so top that next
Amazing.
time.
Amazing. Yeah. I've never had that many entries in a giveaway. Lynn is here. Hooray. Hooray. Lynn, please email us at info@softflexcompany.com. Let us know your shipping information and we will get your prize in the mail as well. Hooray. Tracy, this has been so lovely. I don't know if you want to put your camera back. Oh,
yeah, I'm here.
Quickly, you did that. I love that.
It took a second. It was so fun. Thank you, Kristen. It was great.
Beautiful to spend time with you today and share your lovely design with all of us. And you know, I don't know what the future holds, but we love you. We will miss you, and we will always be happy to have you join us.
I know. It's very, you know, I've been struggling with whether or not I should actually say that this might very well be the last live stream I do for TierraCast. That's like kind of heartbreaking.
It is
thank
heartbreaking.
You so much. Yeah.
We feel
thank you so much. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say honored because I'm so sad. I don't want it to be your last video, but I am happy that we were able to spend this time together and that we had this on the books before all this sort of, you know, came to fruition.
I am actually teaching for Jesse James Bede's winter workshop. How about that?
Oh,
so
perfect.
That might be my last one.
Your last farewell. When is that?
We'll see. We'll see. And you know, maybe I'll get tired of packing my office and decide to do another live stream just for the fun of it. Packing is not my favorite thing.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody. So we will be back at 1 p.m. Pacific time with Sarah and I for Coffee and Craft Wire. And then Sarah will be live again at 3 p.m. Pacific time today. But I'll see you in a short 45 minutes. I got to go pick up my kid from school and get back here. And I'll see you all really, really soon. We love you, Tracy. Thanks again for being here with us. And
bye.
All of you out there too, and we'll see you in a short 45 minutes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.